How's it going, guys? I'm Matt Torx. And I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple months ago, there were a bunch of urinal memes that all use scenes and plot points from the hit Showtime drama series Dexter. Now, I remember rewatching this show not too long before this, and these weird series of memes sparked some conversation between me and one of my friends at the time. And during this conversation, he said to me, "Did you know that there was a Dexter game?" Upon hearing this, my jaw hit the floor. A Dexter video game? So as soon as I got home, I rushed over to my computer, and sure enough, here it is. Dexter, the game, was developed in 2010 for Apple devices like the iPad and iPod Touch, and shortly after was released to Windows. It has you taking the role of the Bay Harbor butcher himself, Dexter Morgan, as you gather clues, hunt your victims, and play through some of the major events of the first season. Seemingly not too long after its release, the game faded into obscurity and is no longer officially playable on any platforms. But in order to shine some light on this little forgotten piece of gaming history, I decided to get my hands on it and play it for myself. And it was an experience. So in this video, I'm going to cover what exactly this game even is, document my time spent playing it, and give it an honest review. But before we get any farther, if you're new here or have been watching for a bit and just haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing, since it's free and is the best way to support the channel directly. Anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Let's get started with the video. So first things first, when it comes to the Dexter game, I feel like the biggest elephant in the room that I have to address is the graphics. Now, I did say that this was a late 2000s iPad game, so I'm not expecting it to look good, but I honestly love the art style of this game. The character models range from kind of looking like their TV counterparts to what the hell is that? And some design choices genuinely made me laugh during my playthrough. Like this serving dish at a crab restaurant is really just a low quality PNG of crab legs that was duplicated and stretched to fit the whole dish. Or the fact that at one point Dexter is supposed to hang up photos of somebody who was killed by his soon-to-be victim in order to make him feel guilty. But in actuality, it's just the same stock photo of this woman that you hang up 6 times in a row. Dexter, the game, is one of those things for me that is just so incredibly bad that it loops all the way back to being really good. Like, one of my favorite moments is when I first got into Dexter's apartment and saw an icon to click on this TV. Naturally curious, I clicked it and was greeted with a fucking ad for the Showtime channel. They seriously went and coded in a fucking advertisement for the Dexter game, which is essentially just one big advertisement for the show anyway. And besides that, there's other instances of reused assets or simple models. But all of these strangely bad design choices start to make a little more sense once you turn up the in-game volume. Because for some reason, despite how low effort some parts of this game are, they actually managed to get most of the cast of Dexter to voice this game, including Michael C. Hall himself. I am of the firm belief that whatever sort of budget was given to the studio to make this project, 90% of it ended up paying the actors, and the remaining 10% was used to actually make the game. Now, to be fair, some of the voice lines seem like they were just ripped straight from the show, and they do reuse some audio multiple times. But I don't imagine all this effort spent on the voice acting could have been cheap. So now that I've spent a little time talking about the audio and visual features of this game, I think it's time I dive more into the story and gameplay of Dexter. Now, in the intro I mentioned that this game's story covers some of the earlier parts of the very first season, so spoiler warning right now if you haven't seen Season 1 of Dexter. The game starts with Dexter gathering some evidence in his own personal case against Mike Donovan, a children's choir director who has a few dark secrets he's hiding from the public. So he follows Mike and finds an abandoned building on the outskirts of Miami, where Donovan has been burying members of his own choir in the ground nearby. Dexter decides that this is evidence enough for him to interfere, and gets to work on setting up his ritual. Once he's done, we intercept Mike on his way back from a choir recital, and coerce him into driving us back to the abandoned building. After incapacitating the man, he gets dragged into the room, tied down, and forced to look at the aftermath of all his crimes. It's in this room where Dexter gets to do what he does best and satiates his dark passenger. Now, the dark passenger is often something that gets brought up when talking about Dexter Morgan, either in his TV or book appearances. The Dark Passenger is described as a general term for the burden Dexter carries as a result of his childhood trauma, and generally refers to all of Dexter's darker urges. This passenger is the driving force for most of the actions that Dexter does throughout the show, and is seen as his true self. Now, this game actually has the Dark Passenger as a featured mechanic, and I actually really like the concept behind it. Throughout the events of the game, Dexter has to manage his Dark Passenger by tracking down other serial killers and delivering justice. At the same time, he also has to manage the Mask, which is his fake self that he projects onto the public. He can keep this ruse up by doing things like being careful during his ritual, playing minigames, and choosing the right options in dialogue. On the flip side, doing things like being rude in conversation, forgetting to be careful, and just being too bloodthirsty overall can cause his mask to slip, exposing his real self. The issue lies in how this was actually implemented into the game. Letting your mask slip has very little impact on the game, as it only deteriorates by small amounts when you mess up, and a lot of times just completing parts of the story will refill the mask. In addition, the game is so short that I don't know if it's actually possible to let it slip completely, so I have no idea what happens if the mask meter runs out. There's pretty much zero consequence on how you do things in the game, just an illusion of choice that presents the same result. Anyway, back to the story. The next day, Dexter returns to his apartment and listens to a message from his answering machine. It's from his sister, Deborah. She asks Dexter to hurry to a nearby motel in which another killing has taken place. The body is bloodless and hacked up into bits. Now, this is a recreation of a scene from the show that shows us the first victim of the ice truck killer. And that's what most of the game's main quest is about. Using your skills as a forensics expert and a serial killer to help Deborah find evidence against this mystery figure who has been terrorizing the streets of Miami. The main story ends with you returning home and finding the same doll head taped to your freezer that Dexter himself finds in the first season. There are a few other quests that all see Dexter collecting evidence and building cases against multiple suspects of recent crimes to see if they truly fit the code. But they all play out fairly similar, with lots of small minigames and stealth missions, and they all end with the exact same cutscene being played. But anyway guys, that is about all I have to say about Dexter, the game. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, as a way to let me know if I should cover more weird games like this in the future. As of me writing this script right now, I've learned that there was actually a sequel to this that was released a couple years later. So if you want to see me cover that, make sure to leave a comment down below. If you got to this point in the video, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!